Hi there everyone, thanks for joining me for this short Hatha yoga session. So as promised, I said I would do a little short class, being as I'm meant to be today over in Shrewsbury teaching my classes and seeing my massage clients, but unfortunately the snow has kept me away. So first of all, I hope you're all safe, I hope you're all warm and able to accept if things have not worked out perhaps the way that you had intended them to the last few days. So what we're going to do in this session is just a nice gentle kind of slow Hatha stretch, and the focus for this one is going to be the side body. So trying to lift and lengthen out of the side waist. So this is going to help us release some tension through the hip flexors, through the lower back. And then we're mainly working with this part of the body, so trying to stretch and release through the rib cage, particularly releasing those muscles in between the ribs, the intercostal muscles, which tend to get really tight at this time of year due to just short and sharp breathing because of the cold, and then that hunching that tends to take place when the weather is bad. So hopefully by the end of the practice today you'll feel like you can breathe a little bit more easily, a little bit more smoothly, and that also you've just been able to release through the back, the whole back really, but then hopefully feeling that sense of relief in the thoracic spine, so that upper back rib cage type of area. So we're going to start this session with the breath. So you might want to do this in a seated position, so as I'm here in cross-legged in Sukhasana, or you can do this in Shavasana, corpse pose, lying down on your back. So if you're cold, or if you're in a room that's not super warm, you might want to have a blanket to cover yourself with for breathing practice. And then in terms of props for the rest of this session today, you might want to grab a yoga block if you have one, or something of a similar shape, like a hardback book. There's a couple of poses where we might need that extra bit of support. So take your time, feel free to hit pause if you just need to go and gather some things, and then join me here on the mat. So if you're choosing to sit in Sukhasana, just take one leg slightly in front of the other so the ankles aren't crunching on top of each other. And if you're lying down in corpse pose, just making sure that the spine and particularly the lower back feels happy. So any issues or niggles in lower back spine, I want you to bend your knees, walk your feet to the width of the mat and then knock your knees together. Okay, and then just rest your hands wherever feels comfortable for you. Chin slightly down to chest. And start to close the eyes and draw your mind, your awareness inwards. I just want you to start to let go of that kind of craziness that's been taking place over the last few days. So whether that's disasters or obstructions that have taken place in your own life, or just what you've been picking up from other people. I just want to get a sense of just tuning that out for now. Giving yourself this really important time for yourself, this mental break. So maybe breathing in through the nose and taking some nice exhales out the mouth. Relax the jaw with every exhale. Feel the muscles of the face beginning to relax, smoothing out across the forehead, relaxing behind the eyes. And we're going to close the mouth and just start to breathe now through the nose. It's starting to activate that Ujjayi breath, breath of sound. So as you breathe in and out through the nose, we start to constrict the back of the throat and we make that rasping ocean sound of the breath. you just start to use your breath now to start to expand the torso. So just notice if you're breathing just into the top part of your chest. And can you now feel the breath in the rib cage? So as you breathe in, feel the rib cage widening. If you find it helpful, you can place your hands to the side of the ribs. So we inhale, and the rib cage presses into your hands. And as you exhale, you just feel the rib cage returning to its normal shape. Inhale, feel that expansion. Exhale, that release. If you're in a seated position, it's a bit more tricky if you're lying down. You can take the back of the hands to the back of the rib cage. And as you inhale, feel the back of your ribs pressing into your hands. Again, as you exhale, feel the hands returning as the rib cage returns inwards. You just kind of get a sense, you can bring your hands back now to rest, just getting a sense of how big the lungs are, how big the rib cage is. So it's a part of the body that we don't really utilise with our breath very often. We tend to have very shallow breaths right up into the top of the lungs. So in yoga we really want to breathe deep down into the lungs. And this helps us to detoxify, helps us to get fresh prana into the body, into the lungs. But at the same time, because the breath is life force energy, we want as much of that to come into the body as possible. So we really shortchange ourselves when we breathe those short, shallow breaths. We're not getting as much vitality into the body as we could be. So that's really what today's class is going to be about. So the breath, and then getting that prana into parts of the body that it can't normally get to. So take a few more rounds of breath and just notice, so what you really don't want to do in your yoga breathing is it to be this really forced and strained thing. So it's meant to eventually feel natural, that you're just breathing in a way that you're designed to breathe. But just notice if you're overdoing it, if you're trying too hard with the breath. And you'll notice because the body will tense up. So you'll start to grip in the shoulders, you'll start to tense up through the face. And also it can make you feel quite anxious. So if that's happening, back it off. Maybe your capacity to take deep breaths just isn't there yet, and that is something that we will build up to over time. So a few more rounds, finding that balance between effort and ease. So if you have taken your breathing practice lying down in Shavasana, I just want you to start to make your way up and join us in seated position. And we're going to draw the palms of the hands together into Anjali Mudra, resting the thumbs into the sternum, connecting with the energy of the heart space. And just take a moment here to set your sankalpa, your positive intention for your practice. So something or someone that you would like to dedicate your practice towards. And just take a few deep breaths, breathing into that intention. Just anchoring your practice in positivity. And then releasing the hands, starting to open the eyes. Okay, so the first pose that we're going to do is a seated side stretch. So if you can't be in a cross-leg position, which to be honest a lot of people can't, you're very welcome to do this with the legs out, stretched ahead. Okay, you can bend them in a little bit if that feels easier, or pad out behind the knees. Okay, so that is always an option if you can't be in cross-legged. We're going to start by taking the left hand down to the mat beside you. So this is where, if you want a bit of extra support, use your block or your book next to you. So you can rest your hand, or you could rest your forearm onto the block. Okay, so that's there if you need that as an option. If you're okay, you feel a little bit more long in the side body, fingertips or palm can come down, or you may even work to having the forearm down. So strong through that bottom hand. Inhale the right arm up, and as you exhale, we're going to stretch over to the side. So what you want to avoid is lifting up through the opposite sit bone. So draw both sit bones down to the mat. Start to lift more through the right fingertips, and just notice what's happening in this bottom left shoulder. So let's roll the shoulder down and back. Okay, and just feel into your body. So noticing any tightness, maybe all the way down into that hip flexor on the right side. Try and feel your breath in the rib cage. And if you want a little bit more, you can start to rotate now, looking up underneath the right arm. Okay, that might be, for some people, that might be too much in the neck, so you can keep the rotation, but maybe keep looking down if that feels easier. And nice deep breaths here into the ribs. Take one more breath, and then draw yourself through centre, and we'll come to the other side. So you're going to bring your right hand to the mat beside you. We're going to inhale the left arm up, and then exhale, take it to that side stretch. Okay, so take your time. This is what's nice about Hatha yoga, is we don't rush. Okay, it's not a vinyasa practice. We don't have to move quickly between the poses. So give yourself time to begin to notice the differences maybe between the two sides of the body, noticing the tension, and then moving into that option if you want to, rotating, looking up underneath the left arm, and just be careful with that right shoulder. Ujjayi breath. And then release and come all the way up. Good. Okay, so we're going to roll the shoulders, and then we'll come into our next pose. So we're going to have a go at mermaid pose. So there's two mermaid poses. One is quite complicated and hard, and this is the easier, softer one. So we're going to come into a seated side position. So you're going to take your left leg out in front and just wing your right leg back behind you. And it's up to you what you do with that foot there. It depends on how kind of tight your ankles are. So find a position that works for you. You might want to pad out, particularly this knee, maybe with some cushioning or some blankets if it feels a little bit uncomfortable. So just give yourself a little wriggle, finding centre. And then we're going to take the right hand to the mat, and we're going to inhale up through the left arm, and then take it into another side stretch. So you'll notice this side stretch is a lot deeper than the one we were just doing. So try and ease into it nice and gently, not feeling like you need to be reaching too far to that side, because you'll start to feel that stretch quite strongly, almost straight away. So breathe. And again, if you want a bit of a rotation, you can take that here as well. Okay, draw yourself all the way up, and then just take a little counter stretch over to the side. Good. Coming all the way up, and then we're going to change legs. So now you're going to draw your right leg out in front and your left leg behind. Okay, so I normally find that one side is a lot tighter for my legs, so find a position where they feel happy. Remember, you can pad out the knees if you want to, and then when you're ready, You're going to take the left hand down to the mat and we're going to inhale the right arm up and then exhale to your side, stretch that side. So again, just becoming present to the differences between the two sides of the body, becoming aware of the sensations and then breathing into it. So breathe in, try and create a bit more space in the body where you can. And as you exhale, can you find a bit more length, a little bit more of a reach through the fingertips? One more breath. And exhale as you transition to your counter stretch. So just taking the arm to the other side. Lovely. And then coming all the way up. From here, if you just bring your hands out in front, we're going to come up onto the knees and then bring yourself to the back of your mat for Child's Pose, Balasana. Okay, so if you like to use a block for under the forehead, have your block nearby. We're going to aim to have the knees together for this one. However, if that is uncomfortable for you for whatever reason, feel free to bring the knees wide. Any discomfort in the knees, padding out underneath the thighs with a blanket or padding out under the front of the knees as well. Okay. So from here, lengthening yourself out long into Child's Pose and bringing the head down when you feel ready. So starting to press into the palms of the hands, so pushing the floor away from you as you draw your tailbone down towards your heels. And I want you to breathe into your back, so breathe into the back of your ribs. You can rotate the armpits in towards each other and that will create a nice stretch for the shoulder blades as well. Okay, we're going to add in a side stretch to Child's Pose. So I want you to walk your hands over to the left hand side. You're going to bend your left hand in slightly, dome the right fingertips and then press from the right hand all the way down to the right sit bone. So you should feel that stretch all the way down the right hand side of the body, and then I would just relax this left arm to the mat. The head is facing down so the neck is long and we're breathing really deeply into that right hand side. Start to look up and then give yourself a little Spider-Man walk back to centre and then take it over to the other side. So you can walk over to the right hand side. The left hand is going to go longer. We're going to dome the left fingertips and then press down all the way to the left sit bone. Deep breaths. Lovely, and then come back to centre. Okay, so from here we're going to come up into our first downward dog. So we're going to come up onto the knees, we're going to tuck the toes, spread the fingers nice and wide, pressing down into fingertips and knuckles of the hands and softening the elbow joints. And then bend the knees, begin to lift the knees off the mat. I want you to keep your knees really bent here to start off with as you slide your rib cage back towards your thighs. So look at that length through the spine. And then you can start to lengthen the legs. Okay, so downward dog is meant to be more of a stretch for the spine and for the hamstrings. Obviously we feel it in the hamstrings because the legs are quite tight. What tends to happen is people are here, up into their shoulders, all the body weight is going into the wrists. So if you do that, bend the knees, slide rib cage back to thighs, then lengthen. And you can keep those knees bent to begin with until the legs get more stretched. Okay, and let's pedal those legs out. So bend the right knee, straighten the left leg, and the left leg, straighten the right. So just pedaling out the legs. And just notice if you've stopped breathing. Let's bring the breath back. And then come back to stillness in downward dog. So you're looking back between your feet, neck is nice and long. And we're going to try and add in a side stretch here. So this might be a little bit tricky, so take it at your own pace. So you might want to walk your hand in a little bit, your right hand in a little bit more, and we're going to lift the left hand off the mat. Okay, that might feel quite strong. And you're going to bring your left hand across diagonally and then start to walk that hand back as far as you can. So you might just be on the mat still. We're going to aim to come back and take hold of this right leg. Try not to put all your body weight onto the right leg, so lift up and over into the left leg, balancing it out. Breathe. And then replace the left hand. Good. And then lift the right hand off. Walk the hand back to where it feels good for you. Right hand to left leg. Bring the weight back into the right leg to balance it out. And then return. Okay, good job, and pedal the legs out. Okay, so from here you're going to look between the hands, you're going to pick up the right leg. You're welcome to bring the left knee down to help you do this, or step that foot between the hands as best you can. So coming into a lunge position. So we're going to bring the left hand to the inside of the left foot. So you might want to bring your block back around to help you here. And you can either stay lifted if you want a stronger version of the pose, or we can bring that left knee down. Okay, so left hand is either to the block or to the inside of that right foot. Back your pelvis off in space slightly, draw the belly in for support, and we're going to rotate into a twist, looking up to the right thumb. Relax the left shoulder and press into the fingertips of the left hand, so you're not just into the wrist joint. And we're going to breathe. Take one more breath and then exhale yourself back around. So moving the block out of the way, bring it to the right hand side of your mat, and then let's bring that left knee down. Okay, so we're going to come up into lunge, so pull up through the front spine muscles. Make sure your right knee is above your right ankle, and you can start to draw yourself further into that stretch. So you're going to feel this probably all the way down the front of the left thigh, the left hip flexor, and maybe into the belly as well. Okay, so we're going to start off by drawing the arms up above the head. As much as you're releasing into the hips, keep pulling the tummy in for support. And we're going to add a side stretch here, so you might want your block for this one. So block is coming to the right hand side. We're going to rest the fingertips on the block, and we're going to bring the left arm up and over to the right hand side. So it's quite a strong stretch for that whole left hand side of the body, so breathe into it, and if you need to back it off, back it off. One more breath, and then draw yourself back through lunge if you can, and then bring the hands down. Good, and we'll just take a little release for that right leg now, so just draw the toes back towards you, finding a hamstring stretch for that side. Give the shoulders a little bit of a roll out, and just reconnect with your breath. Okay, so from here we're going to transition into gate pose. So you bring your right foot down, start to walk your hands into centre, and then bring your left leg behind you. So we start to come up into this position. So we're on a bent knee, the heel of the left foot is in line with the left knee, and then we're going to extend the right leg long. So we're trying to press into the outside edge of that right foot, and then we're going to bring right arm down the right leg, and we're going to inhale and reach up and over with the left arm. Breathe. And then come all the way back up. Bring your hands back down as you turn yourself back around. And then from here, coming back into downward facing dog. So tuck the back toe, plant the hands, lift the back knee, and come back to downward facing dog. And let's pedal those legs out. So you have that to you on the left side. So looking between the hands, we're going to bring the left foot between the hands. So maybe you can bring the right knee down to do this if you prefer, We're coming from downward dog, placing the left foot through between the hands and bringing the right knee down for support if you'd like to. Using a block to the inside of the left foot, back the pelvis off, pull the belly in, and then rotate yourself into that side stretch. Strong to those right fingertips, left knee above left ankle, belly drawing in for support. Breathe. One more breath. Exhale. Return. Bring your block now to the outside and then bring the right knee down. Standing up for lunge. So again, if you back your pelvis off, squeeze the belly and come up to lunge. And then bring the arms up above the head. So sinking down into that right hip flexor this time. As much as you're dropping into the hips, you're pulling your navel in to protect the lower back. And then left fingertips come down to the floor or a block as you reach your right arm over to the side. One more breath. And then inhale it up and exhale it down. And then taking that hamstring stretch, so pulling your left toes back towards you. Roll the shoulders, reconnect with your breath. And then transitioning into gate pose. So you're going to turn yourself around. So you've got your right knee to the mat, your right leg behind you, planting down through the left foot, and then inhaling up and over. One more breath, and then bring yourself back down as you twiddle yourself around, lunge. Hands frame front foot, tuck back toe, lift back knee, downward facing dog. Pedal the legs out, find your breath. Two more breaths. We're going to start to walk the hands back towards the feet, coming into ragdoll pose. So soften the knees, grab hold of the elbows and sway from side to side. Give the head a nice shake here as well. And then let the hands and arms fall towards the mat. Press down through the feet, squeeze the belly and roll yourself up nice and slowly. Head's going to come up last. Good. Okay, from there just give everything a little bit of a shake out. Shake the legs, shake the hands. Okay, so you're going to come into a standing side stretch now. So you're going to bring your right foot forward and then bring your left leg back behind you. So we're bending into this right leg. We're straightening back into the left leg as much as possible. And then we're going to reach up with the left arm and take the left wrist with the right hand. So you're pulling up and over, stretching all the way down that left side of the body. Nice deep breaths. One more breath. And then bring your arms down, hands to the hips for support as you step the feet together. She says wobbling. And then take it to the other side. So you're going to draw the right leg back behind you, bend into the left leg, and then bring the arm up and over. So you're taking hold of the right wrist with the left hand, and then stretching. One more breath. Release the arms down, hands to the hips as you step the feet together. So from here we're going to step the feet nice and wide, and then we're going to turn the left toes out and then the right toes slightly in. So we're coming into triangle pose, Trikonasana. So we want to lengthen the legs, but we want to avoid locking out the knee joints. So particularly if you've got hypermobility, so I see this a lot in my students, they just lock the knees and then press the back of the knee out. So not good for your joints. So just to take the temptation away, let's bend both knees a few times, finding that softness through the knees, and then re-lengthen, but keeping like a micro bend in the knee. So you want to press strongly into the feet, like you're trying to stretch them out apart. And then we're going to open the arms out, thumbs facing up. Take a really nice big breath into the chest. And as you exhale, squeeze belly and bring yourself as far over to that left-hand side as you can. And then you're going to bring this arm down. So you might again want to grab your block and use your hand to your block to make this a bit kinder. You can take your right hand to your heart space and use it to rotate the chest around and then lift that top arm up. So we're looking for this shoulder, the right shoulder and the right wrist to be in alignment. So a lot of people will throw that arm back behind. So again, just try not to do that hyperextension through any of the joints. So we're actually going to open up a little bit more in triangle, but we're just going to hold here for a few breaths. So breathing, looking up to the right thumb. And then we're going to bring this top arm now. So circle it forward in front of the face and then bring it up and over, palm of the hand facing down. So that will really intensify the stretch through that right hip flexor. Try and stay strong through the legs, strong through the inner thighs, and keep drawing the belly in. And breathe into that rib cage, that whole side body. Good, one more breath. Circle the arm back through triangle. And then bend into this front knee. Take your block with you if you were using a block. And come all the way up. Lovely. And then bend into that knee. Pass the block to the other hand. I'm going to turn to the other side. So you take your block down, so it's ready to the inside of the foot. We're going to lengthen. Arms out. Take a nice big breath in. Exhale, reach across. And then bring that hand down to the block or to the leg or to the floor. Depends on what you're working with. Left hand to the heart space as you rotate. And then lift that arm up. So starting here before we come into the second variation, make sure those knees aren't locked. So I'm wiggling my front knee a little bit, drawing belly in. Be careful not to throw that arm back behind you. Good, and then draw that arm forward and over, deepening that stretch on this side. One more breath. Circle the arm, that way. Back through triangle. And then bring yourself all the way back up. Grab your block with you if you're using it and turn both feet now to face forward and just take your block down to the mat. So we're going to come into wide-legged forward fold. So we want to slightly pigeon toe the toes. And again, just be careful not to lock those knees out. So soft through the knees. We're going to draw the hands to the hips. Inhale as you lift your chest. And then exhale as you hinge from the hips. So we're coming in about halfway to start off with. Give the knees a little wiggle, make sure those knees are soft. Press down through the bones of the feet, draw the navel up, and then come down as far as you want to. So your block now, you can use this depending on what level you're working at. So you might want this as a support for your hands if you're finding it hard to come down. You might want to rest your forearms onto the block. Some of you, if you're working a little bit more deeply, you might want to bring your forehead and rest it onto the block. Trying to bring the weight into the centre of the feet so you're not heavy in your heels and avoid clawing through your toes. I'm going to take 2 more breaths. Okay, just lift your face and your block now so it's on its flat setting. I'm going to bring the right hand to the block and bring your left arm up and over to your lower back. Strong through the legs. Now try not to twist from your lower back. That's what your hand is there to make sure that you're not doing. We're going to rotate the rib cage around, and then if it feels okay to do so, you're going to bring that left arm up. So you're looking up to the left thumb, and we're going to breathe. Just notice what's happening in this bottom hand, so try not to collapse into the wrists. So press down through the fingertips. And then in an exhale brings you back down. We replace the hand. Bring your right hand now to your lower back as you twist the rib cage, and then look up to the right thumb. Nice deep breaths. And an exhale brings you back down. Good. So just bringing your block now off the mat. And then we're going to turn ourselves to the top of the mat. Okay, so I've been mirroring you. So just make sure that you're facing the top of your mat, so you're back in a lunge position. So you're probably on a different leg to me. And then bring the palms of the hands down. We're going to step this leg back to downward facing dog. And give those legs a nice pedal. Take one more breath. And then exhale, let's bring the knees down and come to Balasana, child's pose. And just rest the body down and reconnect with your breath. Lovely. From here, start to walk your hands back in. Okay, we're going to transition into a seated position. So if you come to the middle of your mat and then stretch your legs out nice and long. So again, I would be grabbing a block for support for the next few poses. You may or may not need it, but it's good to have it there. So give yourself a little wriggle. Find your sit bones, sit up nice and tall. So we come into a wide leg stretch first. So if you're going to use your block, you're going to put it on its lowest setting to the inside of the left leg. So again, I'll be mirroring you. I'm going to take the arms up and interlace them behind the head. I'm going to take a nice big breath in, and then as we exhale, we're going to take a stretch all the way down to this block. So you might, if that feels too strong, you can always adjust your block up a setting. So this can be quite an uncomfortable stretch because of the shoulders, because of the neck, because of the rib cage. So find what works for you and breathe. And draw yourself all the way back up. Inhale, lift up through the chest. Exhale, release, so that you can transition your block to the other side. So you may not need a block. Some of you might be open enough in the side body to come all the way down. Inhale, to exhale as you come all the way to the other side. Try not to collapse into this top elbow so you end up looking down. So you want that rotation. One more breath, and bring yourself all the way back up. Inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, release. Okay, so I'm going to take one more seated side stretch, and then we're almost at final relaxation. So again, have your block to hand. You're going to bend now. I'm going to give you two choices actually. So this right leg, you're either going to place it so the sole of the foot is lining up with the inside of the left thigh, or if you want to have a go at a different variation, this might not suit everybody's knees, so please don't feel you have to do it. You're going to wing this leg back behind you, so the heel is close in towards the glute on that right hand side. Okay, as I said, it doesn't always suit everybody's knees, so don't do it if it feels uncomfortable. Okay, so block now comes to the inside. You may or may not need it. If I'm going to show this one without the block for those of you who want to work a bit more deeply, but know that you would have your block there for support if you want it. So we're going to bring the left forearm to the inside of the left leg. If I shuffle back actually, so you can see, it's a bit better, a bit easier. So you slide this forearm down, we're going to flex the toes back, and then we're going to use this forearm to push against the leg to rotate the rib cage. We're reaching up with the right arm, and then we're exhaling and stretching over towards that foot. Okay, so some of you might be able to take hold of the big toe. Don't worry if you can't. And then once you've found that stretch, we're going to then transfer this hand to the inside of the right thigh and push the thigh open to get even more of a rotation. And we're going to hold here and breathe. One more breath. And then draw yourself all the way back. Good. And then changing sides. So this leg is going to lengthen out. So you can either bring your foot in or you're going to take it back behind you. Just being careful of that knee. Flexing the toes back. And then drawing the forearm down to the inside of the leg. Using that to rotate the rib cage. Inhale up through that top arm and then exhale, pointing it in the direction of the toes. Once you've made the shape, then transferring the hand to the other leg, using that to pivot yourself round even further. And then ujjayi breath to the ribs. One more breath. And then draw yourself all the way back up. Good job. Okay, just unwind the legs, take them out in front, give them a little bit of a shake out. And then just moving anything off the mat might get in the way of final relaxation. We're going to take one more stretch down on the back and then come into Shavasana. So just make sure you've got anything near you that you might like. So if you want to put socks back on or you want your blanket, anything like that, eye pillow. So again, hip pause if you need to. And then when you're ready, come down onto the mat. Okay, so we're just going to finish by taking banana pose. So we're going to extend the legs long, we're going to extend the arms overhead. I want you to take hold of your right wrist with your left hand and then start to wiggle your torso all the way over to the left hand side. So you want both your shoulders connected to the mat, both your hips connected to the mat, and then walk your legs over to the left as well. Okay, so that might feel quite strong. If you want it to be even stronger, the right foot crosses over the top of the left, and we're just going to hold there and breathe. And then release that top foot, walk yourself back with the torso first and then walk the legs back. And then take hold of your left wrist with your right hand and walk yourself over to the right hand side. And walk your legs over. Okay, so again we've got both shoulders connected, both hips connected, and if you want to work more deeply, left foot over right. And we breathe, you can keep pulling the wrist up and over to find more of a stretch if you'd like to. And then bring yourself back to your centre. Okay, release the arms, bring them down by the side. Maybe give the hips a little bit of a wriggle around. And then if you're taking sort of traditional Shavasana, legs out long, draw the toes away from each other and palms facing up. Okay, it's important to know that this doesn't always suit everybody. So if this feels like a struggle, Again, as we did at the beginning, bend the knees, knock the knees together, feet are at the width of the mat. Or you might prefer to have the legs in Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees out. Okay, so I'll leave that up to you. As I mentioned, if there's anything that you want to make this more comfortable, so grab blankets, eye pillows or anything like that. Okay, so just lie the body out. Give yourself a few more moments to find that comfortable position. And then we're just going to let the body relax and soften down into the mat. So we're just going to stay here in Shavasana in stillness for a few minutes to allow all of the changes from each of the asanas that we've taken today to just settle and sink in to the physical and the subtle body. So as you lie here, letting the body become heavy, letting the floor come up to support you. So scanning through the body for any areas of tension or leftover tightness. Just paying attention to parts of yourself that maybe you're gripping or holding on. And just see if you can let go, completely relax. Smoothing out across the forehead, relaxing behind the eyes, relaxing the jaw. Letting the breath be easy. Letting the mind relax, enjoying the space that you have created in your practice today. What's nice about practicing at home and practicing with these types of classes is that you can hit pause. So if you would like a really long Shavasana, and if you've got the time, I wholeheartedly recommend to do so. Then please feel free to press pause and have a Shavasana that suits you. But if that's kind of all you've got time for today, then just beginning to bring the mind back to the room, back to your body, deepening the breath, and then just bringing those small movements back. So wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, maybe just taking the head from side to side. Drawing the knees to the chest, rocking gently from side to side. Rolling to the right hand side, pausing there for a good few breaths. And then coming up to seated when you feel ready to. Keeping the eyes closed. Drawing chin to chest, shoulders down the back, heart space open. I just want you to sit with your breath, with your body, with your mind, so all of those parts of yourself that you have been able to bring back together, feeling that sense of wholeness and that sense of nourishment. Becoming aware of how you feel now compared to how you felt at the start. So whatever space that you've created in the body and the mind through your practice today, You make a little dedication here, drawing the palms of the hands together back into Anjali Mudra, to take that space with us into the rest of the day or the evenings, whatever time of day you're practicing. So we want to take our practice off the mat with us, so that our time on the mat has that positive effect on the rest of our day. So just breathing into that dedication. So I will honour my practice today by taking the positivity that I've created through this practice with me into my life. And may that have a positive effect on the things that I think, say and do, and have a positive effect on the people around me. Let's take a big breath in together. Let's exhale, bow forward and seal our practice for this session. And then come up when you're ready. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me for this. I really hope you enjoyed it. I will be recording more because I have a feeling, I'm just looking out and it's snowing very, very strongly. So I have a feeling I will be shut up in my house for quite a few days. So hopefully there'll be more videos coming your way. Feel free to ask me questions, or if you've got any requests, I will try and answer those, and I'll try and meet your requests as well. Okay, you take care, stay warm. Thank you very much. Namaste.